tonight and our online audience reviewing. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose a political party or a candidate for office. The League has a long-standing history in our community of providing unbiased candidate and issue information that is widely used by Minnesota voters, regardless of their political beliefs. Sponsorship of this forum is a public service providing you with an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss important issues face-to-face. The votes expressed here tonight are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters. Sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement by the League of any candidate. Please note that when you go to the polls, you will also have the opportunity to vote for a candidate for Council at Large Seat A. Only one person filed for the seat, however, so we have not scheduled a candidate forum for it. Please be aware that Minnetonka uses ranked choice voting in municipal elections. On your ballot, you will be able to rank these candidates in order of your preference. There is never enough time to cover all the issues. If you feel your question was not asked tonight, please contact the candidate directly after the forum. And now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Deb Brinkman, a certified moderator from the St. Louis Park League of Women Voters. Take it away, Deb.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start the candidate forum with opening statements. Each candidate will be given 1 minute for their opening statement and 1 minute for their closing statement. Opening statements will be in alphabetical order. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond to each question. Please note our timekeeper will have a 15-second sign, and then she will hold up a stop sign, and that will be your indication that your 1 minute time is up. 3 candidates are running for the position of council member at large seat B. All candidates were invited here tonight. Present are David Beespor and Kimberly Wilburn. Craig Alciati is unable to attend, but has provided an opening and a closing statement, which I'll read at the appropriate times. We believe that most, if not all, the questions that we'll go through have been submitted by the audience. We also had questions that were submitted by email to the League of Women Voters, Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, and Hopkins. Questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature will not be asked. Those that fall into the same general category will be consolidated so that we can cover as many topics as possible. All questions become the property of the League of Women Voters, Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, and Hopkins. So let's begin with opening statements. Because of the alphabetical order, I will read the statement by candidate Alciati. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. 60 seconds is not much. When I entered this race, a friend asked my daughter, "What is he angry about?" This made me laugh. I'm not angry, but I do believe we have to do better. Now is not the time for fences and conflict. Now is the time to work together. We can protect our wonderful city and make it better for everyone by truly listening to each other. To learn more, not listening to plan our rebuttal. I believe that there has to be strong and compelling reasons before the government acts to negatively impact people's quality of life issues. We can do this without abandoning our ideals, respect each other, and work together. The differences we make now will service us all well. The time for change is long overdue, but not out of reach. My website gives you an idea of my goals, I hope, but it is a work in progress. Be blessed and be a blessing. Now we will proceed with candidate Beespor.
Good evening, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I was interested in this position. I've been an election judge for quite a few years, and I'd like to be involved with the city. I found the city personnel very easy to work with and fun to work with. I'm a former professor at the University of Minnesota for 37 years, and I have a lot of leadership experience all over the board, and that's on my resume, which is outside the door. I think I should say a couple other things. I am data-driven. I'm one of those kind of people, understands data and lecturing. I've written a lot of grants, so I've worked with a lot of governments along the way. And I've taught critical thinking classes to people at the university. Very difficult to teach. People don't like to think critically, but I've worked at it very hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Beespoor. Candidate Wilburn.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this forum. Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Kimberly Wilburn, and I am your Minnetonka City Council representative. Over the past 4 years, we have accomplished a lot. We've increased the training and support of our police and firefighters so that they are better equipped to do their jobs. Our home buyer assistance programs are helping new home buyers become our neighbors. And our sustainability efforts include the addition of solar panels to 3 of our public facilities. We have also expanded health and fitness options for all Minnetonka's with the addition of the marsh and improvements to our parks. With Glen Lake Skateboard Park next in line for an upgrade, so come and talk to me if you're interested in that. Minnetonka has been my home for the past 27 years, and it's been a wonderful place for my husband and me to raise children, and now enjoy the many services Minnetonka has to offer as we get, many services Minnetonka has to offer as we mature. I have been honored to serve as your council member, and I appreciate and have been impressed with the knowledge and ideas that many of you have shared with me as we've worked through the opportunities and issues that have come up in the past few years. I look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve Minnetonka and ask for your vote in November.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. Candidate Wilburn, we will start with you with this first question. What do you think are 2 or 3 most pressing issues facing Minnetonka?
I think our most pressing issue is going to be economic uncertainty, with just uncertainty about what's going on federally, what the economy is going to be. It's going to be a challenge for us to plan and budget and make sure that we continue to provide quality services for our residents. Other issues are ongoing issues. There's a housing crisis in Minnesota. There's a housing crisis in the metro area. There's a housing crisis in Minnetonka. Those would be, and then the environment is always a concern for me. So I would list those as the 3 major issues that we're facing.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. Candidate Beespoor.
Well, I'm thinking along the same lines. Having studied this and talked to quite a number of people in the city, I think the economy is a very important one that's boiling up across the United States, and we're certainly going to be affected by it here in Minnetonka. And as part of that, I think if I have time, I'll talk about a little survey I did when I was door knocking. And one of the things on people's minds is lowering property taxes. A lot of thought has to go into that. I'm particularly, as a biologist for many, many years, I'm particularly concerned about the environment, and I have done a lot of ecological work around the world in some of the most destitute places you can believe, and in very rich places too, with rich people, like in Saudi Arabia, and then housing is a problem also.
Thank you very much, Candidate Beespoor. And we'll start with you with this next question. You both touched on the budget as being one of the top issues, and so we'll focus our next question on the budget. With the cuts and uncertainty around federal spending, what would you do as a council member to help manage potential impact to Minnetonka's budget? And if you were going to make any cuts, where would you target those budget cuts? Candidate Beespoor.
Thank you. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I looked over the budget today, and having worked at the university, which is a very complex institution, very much like the city here in Minnetonka, if I had to make budget cuts, I would first look at, just like we did at the university, you look at personnel. That's a hard one to look at, but that's often the largest part of the budget. That's $126 million. in the budget, and might be a place to cut. Might be some places where revenue can be increased. I'm not sure exactly where those would be, but maybe fees of various kinds can take the place of some loss of services. And then another thing I might mention, I'm a grant writer. Let's write some grants to the state and see if we can supplement the budget here from state money.
Thank you. Candidate Wilburn.
Well, I would go back to our residents and do some surveys and find out what services that they feel they can do without if we absolutely have to make cuts. Our staff is really good at actually doing, looking for grants, looking for revenue, looking for all these other things. So I don't think it would fall on me as a council member to make those decisions on my own, but I certainly would want to get input from the residents as to the budget and are there things that are considered less critical.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. We'll start with you with this next question. You both talked a little bit about the environment being important to you, so this question has a little bit of an environment vibe to it. What issues do you see with increasing number of underage riders of e-bikes who speed or ride on sidewalks and ignore the rules of the road? What do you advocate the city do to address this problem? So e-bikes is our topic. Candidate Wilburn, please.
It certainly is a problem, and the problem is more with underage riders. I think the main thing we have to do is more education for parents. You're supposed to be 15 years old or older to ride an e-bike, so if you're under 15, you shouldn't be on an e-bike, and I don't know how many parents are aware of that. So, and just education on safety, and because we don't have enough police personnel to take care of the problem through enforcement.
Thank you very much, Candidate Wilburn. Candidate Beesbor.
That's an interesting question.
Can you turn your mic on?
I spoke to a few people around my neighborhood, and I have a little survey, like I said, I might get to, and that was on the list of having problems with e-bikes, and I think that is a problem because I've almost always run over one or two here along the way when I'm cruising around the neighborhood. We can't use the police for that, obviously. They got better things to do than ticket kids. But I think education, talking to parents, and putting a lot of stuff in the Minnetonka memo about how to handle this problem, because it is a problem.
Thank you. And we'll start with you with this next question, Candidate Beesbor. So again, you both touched on housing as one of the key issues, so we'll focus on housing with this next question. What measures would you support to increase affordable housing in Minnetonka? Candidate Beesbor, we'll start with you.
That's a knotty question, isn't it? And I don't know particularly how to address that, except that, it depends on revenues again. If the one person made a statement to me that said, what if you want your child to live in Minnetonka because you live in Minnetonka? Well, it's not affordable anymore because the city is saturated. So for housing, maybe again, people should bug the state and see if we can get revenue from them to help people put down payments down on houses. I don't know if Minnetonka could do that. It'd probably be a program that might be beyond our reach. And then save houses in this area that are getting kind of decrepitance on. Maybe the state could help recondition those and make that housing affordable.
Thank you, Candidate Beesbor. Candidate Wilburn.
So Minnetonka already has several programs that I support. We have some home buyer assistance programs that help first-time home buyers. We have an affordable housing policy where affordable units are included in multifamily housing when if the city is giving any financial aid to the developer. So there are several programs that are already in place, and we are looking at rewriting our zoning code. So there is a potential to simplify our zoning code and make it easier to have density where it makes sense, and a greater type of housing stock. The city also has purchased some homes with the goal of preserving naturally occurring affordable housing. So the houses will be sold to developers to remain affordable.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. Candidate Beesbor. Oh, thank you. Okay, Candidate Beesbor, we'll start with you with this next question. Talking about services, what is your opinion about municipal garbage pickup? Should the city contract with a single carrier?
Well, that's an interesting question that I've never pondered. I pay private operators to haul away my garbage, and I'm extremely happy with it. If the cost can be cut in half by the city contracting garbage removal, that would make probably everybody happy.
Thank you. Candidate Wilburn.
I have pondered that, but didn't expect to hear about it tonight. So I would say that it's certainly something to consider. There tends to be the argument between people want to have a choice versus having a city contract. If we could negotiate a contract that would allow for a lower price for everyone, and two, the second benefit would be decreasing the amount of garbage trucks, which is a complaint that I hear when I'm out knocking doors, is the number of different trucks going up and down the street, and the pollution and the noise and all of that. So it's certainly something I would consider if residents indicated that that was something they were interested in.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. And we'll start with you with this next question. What can the council do to reduce commercial property vacancy and increase the commercial property tax base?
That is a tough one, and it's a problem that many cities are facing right now. I'd say the city has a relationship with the Wayzata Chamber of Commerce. I think just we do business surveys. We check in with our businesses to see how they're doing and what changes can be made. So I think just staying in contact with the businesses we have here and seeing and being in conversation with them about what can we do to make the city, or the properties that we have, more attractive.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. Candidate Beesbor.
I'm going to a business meeting of a lot of business people here next week, and I'm going to have to kick that kind of question around with them too, to see what they have to say. I'm very business friendly. We need businesses. I'm a consumer. If there's no businesses here, I can't consume. So looking at what's happening here, I think the big thing to do is, I said before, I'm data driven. Get as much information as you can from all the business people and see what kind of solutions they have for this particular kind of a problem.
Thank you, Candidate Beesbor. We'll switch topics. And then we'll talk about immigration. So what should the city's role be in assisting ICE, immigration and customs enforcement, or involvement in other federal initiatives related to immigration? Candidate Beesbor.
Immigration, that's, I read 3 newspapers every morning, and boy, it's full of nothing but ICE and immigration, isn't it, at this point in time? It seems to be now a federal problem more than a local problem, and I'm not sure states should welcome the federal government into their operations. So, for example, to have ICE agents here, I think would be terrible. We got to let the law of the land play out in terms of immigration. Immigrants are good. I know a lot of them and met many people around the world who are immigrants. And this country can use them.
Thank you, Candidate Beesbor. Candidate Wilburn.
So I don't believe the local police should have any role in assisting ICE or federal immigration programs. The Hennepin County police chiefs, of which our Minnetonka police chief is the head, released a statement stating that they do not work with ICE, they do not cooperate with ICE. I fully support that. Aside from the federal government having no jurisdiction over ICE, the police do not want to work with ICE. Part of policing is being able to have community trust, and if the community is afraid of you, then they are not going to report crimes. And so having the police work as ICE agents or work in cooperation with ICE is just not a good idea.
Thank you very much. All right, our next question, we'll switch topics and we'll talk a little bit about safety. How would you assure school safety for our Hopkins Minnetonka students in light of the Annunciation shooting? And we will start with Candidate Wilburn.
So the shooting was horrific, and I'm sure many people are still very shaken up by it. It's sad that we live in a reality where children do active shooter drills. I think I join with some of my fellow council members in applauding the mayor for participating in the press conference where the Mayor Fry, they called for a ban on assault weapons and large magazines. I think that's a start. We need to push for gun control. We need to push for better mental health services. Again, I don't. It's not a thing that. There's not one simple solution, but I think we need to start with what we can do, and that is to get rid of assault rifles.
Thank you, Candidate Wilburn. Candidate Beesbor.
Interesting question. I think these kinds of things have happened with regularity across the United States. One thing I'm behind, as you've heard me say, I was a professor for a long time. I'm behind education 100%. I don't know if there are any simple solutions, but I would recommend a safety officer of some sort in every single school to be there, be armed, not be conspicuous, but be armed and be ready for any of those kinds of events that might occur. I don't think people will give up their assault weapons here in the United States. That's the feeling I get, even though it'd be nice to have legislation like that. We'll have to see if it does develop, but I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. I believe we have time for, nope, I think we've got time for one more question. And so the question will go back to housing one more time. Do you support And we will start with candidate Beesbor. Do you support the proposal to restrict homeless encampments in Minnetonka? And or what more, if anything, should the city be doing to combat homelessness?
Boy, another interesting topic that's in the news all of the time. No, Minnetonka should not support homelessness. It should do everything possible probably to support mental and health for people like that, and find housing for them if they can. We probably would not like, most of the citizens would not like, have a homeless encampment here, I suspect. And I think whatever support the city can give to homeless people, they should try to do it. We'll have to look at that budget very carefully.
Thank you, candidate Beesbor. Candidate Wilburn.
So if you go back and listen to the study session and what was discussed, all of the council members were very adamant that in any response to homelessness that we lead with compassion. And the city a few years ago formed a partnership with His House to provide services for the unhoused. They help people transition to homelessness as well as providing other services. And to date, I believe 102 individuals have been helped through His House through the partnership with Minnetonka. So the proposal is that once we've made contact with an unhoused individual, we offer them services. We try to find them housing, and it's only after that process has been started that they are required to leave the encampment, and ideally they would be leaving to go to a housing situation.
Thank you, candidate Alciati. All right, now it's time for closing statements. Again, we will proceed in a rotating order, so candidate Wilburn will go first. I will read the closing statement from candidate Alciati, and then candidate Beesbor will go third. So candidate Wilburn, your closing statement, please.
All right. That was the longest and shortest time period. So thank you again to the League of Women Voters for hosting this, and to everyone in the audience who stuck it out at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. We had a very robust discussion, some excellent questions, and you've given me some things to think about. It was a wonderful chance to dig into our collective vision for Minnetonka, and I look forward to continuing conversations as we move forward. And I appreciate everyone's willingness to share their concerns and ask these questions. As I mentioned earlier, our economy is going through a bit of uncertainty, and it's not disastrous as long as we pay attention and continue to be agile in our planning to make the most of our opportunities and minimize our risk so that we will be okay. It has been a privilege to serve as your city council member. I am ready to face the challenges of the next 4 years as we all come together to make it work. I have learned much from your experiences and expertise and professional insights, and it's given me access to so much talent and knowledge here in Minnetonka, evidence that when we come together to solve a problem, nothing can stop us. So I'm asking you to vote for me, Dr. Kimberly Wilburn, as your continuing city council member. You can vote as early as September 19th, and be sure to get there by Election Day on November 4th.
Thank you, candidate Wilburn. Okay, now I will read the statement from candidate Alciati. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. I'm very disappointed that I could not be here tonight. We're taking our oldest daughter to start her university studies in Paris. We have lived in Minnetonka for 13 years. In the last 10 years and more, I have been an RN at HCMC in clinics, and then as a home hospice nurse, now as an inpatient care coordinator. I have learned that listening to a patient's wants, needs, and dreams is critical to helping them make their best choices. Explaining the real choices before people is my job. I will focus on public spaces and support innovative health services with fiscal responsibility. Minnesota is a center of excellence in health sciences and outdoor rec and education. I will work to bring more partnerships and innovation to the city, not higher taxes. Let me put my master's in public health, years in the hospital and hospice, and my university teaching experience to work for Minnetonka. Please visit my website to tell me what you want and ask me for details. Now, candidate Beesborn.
Minnetonka is a wonderful city to live in. I've been here for 40 years, maybe even a little bit longer. I don't quite remember. Excuse me. Well, I think the council needs some changes. Councils get kind of hidebound. They're committees with the same people on it for a long period of time, and sometimes we need some change. Vote for me and you'll see some change. I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm an environmentalist by training and long periods of time in different countries where I worked in the environment and helping people, and I'm particularly interested also in personal safety around the cities. I close with this. I have my resume outside the door. Pick up my resume. You'll be surprised by reading it. It's very long and very complicated, but a typical academic resume. There's a general statement out there also that has my website on it. So I have a website, and I'm still pulling together materials for my campaign. I thank the League of Women Voters.
Thank you very much. I'd like to remind everyone again that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters. Sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement of any candidate by the League of Women Voters. And now back to Sharon for our closing.
We'd like to thank you all for coming. Our league is Minnetonka, Eden Prairie, and Hopkins, and we'd like to thank our online audience as well. We especially would like to thank our candidates for being part of the democratic process by running for office and being willing to serve our community. The League researches issues important to our members and to the health of our communities. If you're interested in finding out more about what we do, you can visit our website at www.lwvmeph.org. And again, thank you for coming tonight.